Welcome to the Rosa and Rhea podcast. I'm Rosa.
And I'm Rhea.
And we're sisters. And we're going to talk about sex today. And we're going to tell you everything. Okay, our topic today is bad boys and all the trials and tribulations and amazing sex that comes along with them.
Yeah. I mean, we know a lot about bad boys, me and Rosa. If there's anything that we know about. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I'm an expert.
I'm an expert too. Right?
Yeah.
What is a bad boy to you? Like, what are you talking about specifically?
Well, like the original bad boys would be, you know, like the guys you grew up with, like drug dealers with like really nice cars who bought you the Gucci purses and made you feel like super cool, but always cheated on you and never called you back and just like left you pining away for them forever and ever.
Yeah, because like in my mind, there's like the bad boy, like what you speak of, like what we both have experience with, total drug dealer, that kind of shit, goes to jail, so hot, treats us like gold. Another kind of bad boy who is just like really just disrespectful towards women.
Yeah.
And maybe doesn't call you or takes advantage of the fact that you like him.
Yeah.
More.
And I feel like that's like now that's we call that the fuck boy because no one's really like putting up with that shit anymore. Right? It used to be like an exciting thing to date someone who was like on the wrong side of the law, and that was bad. Now this is like someone who's actually just like disrespecting you. We're just on the No Fucks Given show on Save On Radio, and you can listen to that on saveonradio.com. And I literally describe myself as like the basic bitch of Vancouver. And what I mean by that is like I'm the majority of women who have thought that a guy liked them, who have thought they were dating a guy, and the guy ended up being a piece of shit, and you just kind of stayed with them. And now I'm over that. But that was a long phase in my life where I was like really looking for love and making shit up about it and getting treated really, really poorly.
There's a variety of different bad boys, and we can talk about all of them. But I mean, I love all of them for different reasons.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
a fuckboy, like, or a douchebag.
Oh yeah, like one of those suited up douchebags who makes a lot of money.
Fuck, I'll have sex with him in 2 seconds. Like, I love a douchebag. Like, what's up with that?
Oh man,
I can't get enough.
I think part of it is how gratifying it is for if everyone else says they're an asshole and you're like, well, he hasn't been an asshole to me. Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, well, maybe he's just an asshole to the rest of the world. But because I'm different, I'm going to make him into this guy who treats me good. And then obviously in the end, what happens? He fucks you. He fucks right off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not cool. So I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not down for that. But
the initial attraction is real. It's very real.
It is extremely real. And I think for me personally, I spent some time thinking about this because I dated like every variety of bad boy out there. You know, whether it be a fuck boy, the drug dealer who went to prison, disrespectful people, bench warmers, or people that I was their bench warmer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless.
All of it.
So when I really thought about this, like, why the hell, what am I doing? I think I was just looking for that dynamic in the wrong place that I was seeking, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm a more submissive person, I thought maybe that this bad boy would be able to dominate me the way that I wanted to be dominated.
Right.
And every single time I did that, subconsciously, I was disappointed. I never got what I wanted, ever. Sometimes I would date a guy and I would think, oh, you know, like, I would be turned on. He'd be like, he'd make tons of money. He'd be this really powerful guy. I think he's going to be just take me down in the bedroom. And it would just be wah, wah, wah. Sorry, you guys. That is some real shit, though. That happens a lot.
I think you speak to two things. Definitely that, like, as a younger person, like that kind of dynamic, even like, the first guy to start smoking, like, oh, he's a rule breaker. And I think kink, even subconsciously, if you have something like, if you want to be dominated, if that's something that you end up really desiring, it comes, it feels really wrong, right? It feels really bad. Comes with a lot of shame or guilt most of the time. Until you start to understand it, you're going to be drawn to the wrong people.
Yeah.
And so That's not something I could possibly understand at like 14, 15. Not that every person I was drawn to was the wrong person, but if you do have that as a kink, you could be end up looking for it in the wrong places if you're not conscious of it at the time.
Oh, yeah. And again, we go over this every episode, but if, again, not being able to communicate what you want, that plays a big part, right? I mean, that was a big issue. My attraction to bad boys combined with the fact that I hadn't done that self-reflection into what turned me on. I wasn't able to communicate to these guys what I was actually looking for. And I was just expecting them to literally read my mind, right? Mm-hmm. And do something that I just assumed they were going to be able to do based on their, lifestyle or work, or right?
How they made you feel.
How they made me feel. Yeah. All of that stuff.
And then the other thing you mentioned was the money thing, right? And I think that now in my older life, like in my 20s, like I love a guy with money. I love that. I love rich guys. I love guys spending money on me. And if you look deeper into that, I think I love a guy who has power. Because when I started dating guys with money, I didn't really care about their money at all. I could easily date a guy with no money. And what I realized that I am drawn to is the power of it all. I'm drawn to the people that are in charge.
Right.
And for whatever reason, if a guy has money, he seems to be in charge to me.
Yes.
He naturally has that like power, right? So again, you can kind of like, some girls come off as gold diggers. Maybe they're not really. Maybe they just are drawn to a certain dynamic and they don't really even care about the money.
Yeah. When I didn't really understand what I was looking for, I thought that, like, let's just be clear here too, okay? Because there's an actual fetish about having a sugar daddy, sugar baby relationship, okay?
Okay,
so there's
a
sexual fetish, right? So there's men and women that are turned on by having that dynamic in their relationship, okay? Separate to that, there is people that arrange themselves in these relationships, a sugar daddy, sugar baby relationship, and it has to do with not sexual at all.
They just want money.
It's about money.
Money
a transaction.
Yeah.
That's right. So these are two different things. But there was a period of time, because I was like exploring my own desires to be dominated, that I was thinking that perhaps I had that fetish where I was turned on by a guy who had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that, like, that's what I wanted sexually, was a guy to just like pay my way. And it would literally, and I have a job, you guys, okay? So it wasn't like I needed him to do this. Again, it was a sexual desire. But then when I experimented with dating different guys, I realized very quickly that, dating some people with tons of money, that did not turn me on.
Yeah.
Like, I tried
how
that.
Did you try that? How did you explore it?
What do you like?
Did you do Seeking Arrangements? Or?
So if you guys don't know, Seeking Arrangements is a website online where you can... I don't really. I haven't been on there in ages, but I have gone on there
because
before.
you were like, okay, well maybe this is how I'm gonna find it.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Like with FetLife now and that.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even think I constructed a profile. I did not go deep. I maybe just like went on there a couple times. I never messaged anyone. But I did end up dating, I've dated all kinds of guys with all kinds of jobs, and I've dated guys with tons of money. And in the end, it didn't turn me on. Yeah. And it didn't make me like them anymore. And all the cliches of like money, all that stuff is true, right? Like, sure, you can have some great experiences with someone with a lot of money, but it does not make you more turned on, at least for me. I don't have that. So then I went to the daddy dom baby girl thing, and that was more to my liking, right? Because then I can get actually dominated. Because that was the thing. Once you realize, like, this guy, great, you have a millionaire, but he's not going to spank the shit out of you necessarily.
Yeah, it doesn't mean just because they have the power.
Right.
And also, just because you're attracted to power, you might be listening and be like, oh, I get a crush on my bosses too. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be dominated, but it could be just like something that you're drawn to, and it's really good to have that awareness so that you don't go looking in the wrong places for it.
And I think when I was looking in the wrong places, I think the big problem is I was just getting constantly disappointed.
Yeah.
And that's why it sucks, right? Is because, like, I would invest literal time into people that weren't satisfying me sexually. So again, important to know what you like, important to communicate these likes to the people that you're having sex with or having relationships with. and really look into these things, right? Because you might think you're having one fetish, but maybe it's something else. Who knows?
Maybe I don't even want to get dominated. Maybe it's like a lead into something else. Maybe it's just like a little, like a lily pad, step into something else. But it's been really fun to explore.
Yeah.
And then going back to bad boys, like when you start to have that awareness, even if you are attracted to somebody who you know might not be the best for you, like there's the whole thing about red flags that comes up, right? And our favorite thing to do is saunter past a red flag, right?
Just like run, like yeah.
Not even saunter, run. I don't see that.
I don't even know.
No, see it and then just be like, whatever.
Yeah, just to wrap my body in it. Use it as a blanket.
It's a nice color for you. It's red. This is hand knit. Like seriously, red flags are, it's harder to see them. It's obviously hindsight is the easiest way. But there are some glaring ones, especially if you have really close girlfriends or like as sisters. I'm always telling Rhea, oh my God, that's such a big red flag. And like same thing back at me, and I'll literally just be like, whatever. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, is that a bad boy? If right, that's not a necessarily. Like, I think if you're ignoring red flags, that's your own fault.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like, I mean, you know, like you get kind of addicted. And like, I think I've spoken about this before. Like, a bad boy to me can sometimes be like a piece of candy that I just can't resist, especially if he's good looking. And has like a good cock or something.
Yeah, you
right?
cannot resist
like,
the candy.
He could never text me back. He could ghost me time and time again. But if he hits me on the right day, like I need to be fucked, I cannot say no, and it sucks, right? Because then you feel like a piece of, you know, as a woman, I think women can relate to this. You feel horrible afterwards. You feel empty, right? When you're giving these guys, bad boys, energy.
Yeah.
Right? Because it doesn't fill you up in the end, you know, because they're never there for you, right?
They're never there
They're never there for you.
That's the thing.
And
yeah,
you go
you're
back
there
for more.
them. Yeah, exactly.
And it just makes you feel really shitty. So...
yeah, like, so nowadays, like a fuckboy ghosts you, or he ices you out, or he phases you out, right? And you kind of know what's happening, right? But you just kind of ignore it. You're just like, whatever. You make a lot of excuses. And like one of the biggest ones, the biggest red flags that I have noticed with my girlfriends lately is when they go back and have a conversation with somebody who has done them wrong, and their first thing that they do is they blame themselves. They say, you know, Rosa, there was something that I could have done more of. And I think it's really easy to do that. I've done it before too, because you do. I mean, we're all kind of learning to take accountability, but this is not the time to do that. When a guy has treated you badly, you have to remember those facts. He's gonna obviously want to fuck you again, even though he's treated you badly. And if you give him the time of day, he'll convince you that part of it is your fault. You gotta be careful out there, especially being mindful of if you're making excuses for them, or if you're saying that it's, and you're taking blame. Because when you're in like this kind of relationship, that it's a casual thing, but you're still expecting respect from each other, and then he is treating you poorly and blaming it on you, that is not the time to be taking accountability, right? That's not the time to be taking responsibility for your actions. You have to stand in your own self and say, no, I have respected you. I have treated you properly. You're the one who hasn't been treating me properly. This is not my fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of people, they don't want to say that, or they would rather just take a little bit of the blame so they can have sex again.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you've said that to me before, and it's kind of hard to hear. But yeah, you shouldn't be blaming yourself. You can't imagine. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives, right? So we can't start imagining things. We just have to move the fuck on. I want to ask you about ghosting, okay?
Okay.
Because I think that it doesn't always have to be like a gender thing.
Totally.
I've probably ghosted people before, okay? I'm sure I have. How could I have not have? But
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, do you have any advice for like how to avoid doing that to people? Especially if it's like a really like fresh relationship and it might be more casual, like you were mentioning earlier, and maybe you're not feeling things anymore, and you're like, well, I could just stop messaging this person, or just like block them on Instagram or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But what can you do? Like, how can you communicate that to someone
I mean,
in a polite way?
Yeah, like, listen, I don't want to be with you anymore. Things have changed, and I've had a really good time, but it's over.
Like, what if, yeah, okay. Yeah,
But
so you're just really direct.
People don't listen.
Yeah, they don't listen.
People aren't going to listen to you. If
No.
they really like you, they won't listen.
They'll just keep messaging you.
Yeah, or they'll be like, "Oh, that's fine. We can shift our relationship and have it be something else, or we could just be friends." And if that's okay with you, that's okay with you. But I really try and look at myself, and I say, okay, if I'm going to be friends with this person, is that good for that person? Is that good for me? Because the intentions going in, if the intentions going in for me were, to have a boyfriend, and then I decide I don't want this person as my boyfriend, there's probably no point in being friends with that person. For me, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to be friends with anyone I'm even thinking about having sex with. I don't think.
No.
Like, okay. We have a crazy family. We mentioned...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, let's explain this a little.
Maybe you know
I'll
exactly what
explain.
I'm going to say.
Well, okay, so basically my dad, like Rhea was born first to Peter, who's also my dad. And he had her with Sue, the mom. And then my mom and Peter moved in next door. I don't know if you're following. So there's like 2 different families living next door, 1 dad, 2 moms. And then, of course, Rhea's mom got a new partner. She turned a lesbian, so she got a woman partner. And then that relationship ended, and she got a new partner. Over the years, there were many partners, but she always stayed friends with them. They literally would come to Christmas dinner for years.
And same thing with Peter and Lorraine.
Yes.
Lorraine is Rosa's mom.
Yeah. She has a baby daddy who is my other sister, who's also older.
Are you guys taking notes?
He would
Everyone's
come
taking
by.
notes.
He's Jewish, but he would still come by for Christmas breakfast. He was there for every single special occasion. Peter's exes, I don't even know who they are, but they're just our family friends. I didn't even know them as ex-lovers.
I think they're just his girlfriend,
his women friends.
We don't know where.
Our dad loves women, so probably most of the women
he's fucked.
He's probably fucked them, yeah, because he's known them since the 60s. He was graduating high school in 1969. Like, these were good times.
He's a ladies' man.
He's a ladies' man. And so your mom was a ladies' woman for a while. I mean, she had a lot of lovers.
Major ladies' woman. So I guess the point here, that was a very long story, but the point is both of our parents, and even I would argue Rosa's mom, always stay friends, they seem to, with their ex-lovers or partners.
Yes.
Obsessively almost.
Yeah, it's like,
and it's like,
where's the chair for so-and-so? And you're like, she's coming too?
Yeah, it's like almost like, I don't even know. So we've had to do a lot of accepting over the years, but the thing is like, I'm not really like that. Personally,
I stayed like that for a long time, and it's only been in the last couple years that I realized that not everyone deserves to stay in your life.
Exactly.
And because of the way we grew up, I thought it was just sort of a given. And a lot of people that I dated were like, why would we be friends? And I'm like, why wouldn't we be friends? And now that I've looked more into it, I'm like, okay, no, not everyone deserves to be in your life. The people who like light you up and who are adding to it, and you're adding to their life, and you're inspiring each other still, and you still have like a love and respect, sure, be friends. But I think that's actually very few and far between. So we've gone back to like being more normal. But definitely the way we grew up was always all the exes.
Me personally, in this stage of my life, I have a hard time. There's some exes in my life. And it wasn't necessarily like a horrible, terrible breakup, but I just can't even talk to them because it's like, it just puts me over the edge, you know what I mean? So I need that space, right? And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, like my ex, like we took 4 years. We didn't speak. And now that we are speaking, he's so awesome, but we have had to find our boundaries.
Yeah, you need boundaries.
It's like, building a new kind of relationship, right? It's a whole new thing, and it's because both of us want it. But it's not easy. It's not, right? It's never going to be super easy.
Oh, and another thing I'm notorious at, let me just say this, is like I'll fuck an ex-boyfriend for years. Like if I'm in a dry spell or something, like that's the other thing. It's like another, and it's almost an ex-boyfriend can be a bad boy too, right? Like this addiction to something that you shouldn't be addicted to.
Yeah.
Right? Another candy, right? That you got to just let go.
Because it's so fun to do that.
And they know you, right? And it's so easy. And if, you know, and it just puts you in this whole cycle with them often, which isn't really healthy all the time, I don't think.
Yeah, and that goes back to how it's gratifying as well. It's like, oh, you want me again?
And you can't move on, right? Too. That's the other. Yeah. That's the most damaging part, is that you can't really work on moving on and bettering yourself and getting a better relationship, finding someone that's more in tune with what you're turned on with.
Can bad boys get good? I mean, definitely we've been talking about this communication thing and the etiquette, but like, do they care to? Like, if we had a bad boy on the show right now, what would you want to ask him?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge question for me. Like, I want to know, can someone improve? And I think it's like anything else. I think we can all do self-improvement and look at ourselves. Like, how are we treating people in our relationships? How are we treating the people that we have sex? What can I do better? How can I bring someone more pleasure? How can I not hurt people in my life, right? So I don't really know what the answer is, except for like self-reflection is probably really important. You know, maybe some people don't even care, right? Maybe like some people just get turned on by just fucking people with no emotions and not respecting them. I don't know.
Yeah, but then avoid those people at all costs.
Yeah, don't have sex with those people.
Yeah, because what if you got pregnant and then your kid will be the same?
And I experienced this on Tinder, right? I had a guy who wanted to do some stuff with me. And
what did he want to do to you?
Okay, I'll tell you specifically what he wanted to do. Yeah, this was the very first Tinder guy I ever went out with. And I literally, there hasn't been very many, by the way. But anyways, the very first Tinder date. So I go on a coffee date with him. Totally seems normal. He seems hotter in person. I was like, I would totally have sex with this guy. I was ready to go at that point. Mm-hmm. Then he starts sexting with me. Mm-hmm. Which is fine, and I like sexting. As I've mentioned in every other episode, I'm down. But it just became a lot. And he basically wanted, his fantasy was to come over to my apartment before work, early in the morning. He works in a business, full suit, walk into my apartment, like no hello, no talking, come all over my face.
Like fuck your face, right?
Fuck my face.
Then come
all over my face, and then walk out without saying a word. Okay?
Yeah. So
you know what? I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? But the only thing is I needed to have a conversation, an in-person conversation. This was a mandatory for me, whether it be another coffee date or just like even a pre-coming on the face date, mm-hmm. whatever it is, where we just discuss what exactly we're going to do, not to ruin the spontaneity of it all, because obviously that was part of his fantasy, but just like what I'm okay with, how I want it to go down, what I need in exchange, like not in exchange for that, but what kind of aftercare I'm looking for afterwards, what kind of pleasure that I'm going to need.
Yeah, because it could really get dangerous, right?
That's right.
Because everyone has a different opinion of what fucking a face is, too. He could be like, I'm going to fuck you till you barf.
Yeah.
And you could be like, or maybe then you're saying, oh, no, like too deep, and he thinks you're into it, and then you get into a position where you're not comfortable.
Absolutely.
So I mean, you have to outline these things. So,
all of these details need to be hashed out. On top of it, STIs, right?
Yes.
Like protection.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't talk about this a lot.
I recently got gonorrhea in my throat.
Right.
I gave a rowdy BJ. It was amazing. It was so fun. And then the next day I was like, ow, my throat is so sore. And I went to the doctor, and he didn't think I had gonorrhea. So for like a week, I was laid out so sick. No symptoms down below in my vagina. Just like it felt like I had strep. Could only eat ice cream. And then I finally called back, and they're like, "Oh yeah, your results came in 2 days ago. You need to come in." And I had gonorrhea in my throat for like basically 10 days. I was on the wrong antibiotics.
From deep throating, okay?
From deep throating.
When Rosa told me this, I got terrified because this happened right when this guy wanted to do this space fucking thing, and it terrified me. I was like, I'm not letting any guy do this before we have a proper, on top of all the other things we mentioned as far as what I'm into, what I'm not into, what's okay, how, all these things. Plus, like, what kind of pleasure is he going to bring to me? Like, I like blowjobs, I like cock worship, I like deep throating, all of that stuff. But there might be some things that I want to do as well, right?
Yeah.
On another time, perhaps, right? That's separate to this fantasy. He might have to come over another time of the day and just eat my pussy for fucking 2 hours. I don't know. Or spank me for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever I need, right?
Yeah.
These things need to be discussed. But he was absolutely unwilling to commit to having this conversation with me. Okay, so that was the problem. So that was a bad boy.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
He did not have the respect. He wanted to have this fantasy, and it might sound to people, oh wow, that's a really disrespectful fantasy. I wasn't judging his fantasy at the time, right? Like that's fine. That's what he's
it's
into.
how you go about it.
I'm GGG. Exactly. It's how you go about it. It was his lack of respect for the process.
Yeah.
He did not want to be an adult, right? And like he wanted to do some pretty adult stuff with me, right?
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, fine. All you have to do is have another conversation and we can go forward with it. For whatever reason, that didn't work for him. But like, who's that going to work for?
Exactly.
Right? Who is down to do that? It's so dangerous. Like a random guy to say nothing and to make no boundaries, do something very extreme. That's dangerous. We don't recommend that at all.
No. And so that was a perfect example. And, that could happen again, right? And it probably happens to a lot of people where they get propositioned by someone to do something and the person doesn't want to do the proper things, like talk about it first.
Yeah.
Very important.
And I mean, the added layer of, when you give a blowjob, you don't use a condom.
That's right.
Nobody does. So it's like no one's fault that I got gonorrhea in my throat.
No
one's at all. I'm not mad. No one was ever mad. It was dealt with whatever. As soon as you find out you have it, you deal with it.
But it's a general awareness thing. Would you agree?
For your general awareness, you can get it in your throat, and it's a really good idea to at least ask the person if they've been tested, and then just do whatever you're comfortable with, right? Like,
yeah.
It's not like I would have used a condom to suck his dick.
No, I mean, I've never used a condom to suck a dick.
No, that's not
ever.
A thing. So, like, it's just something that you can get. It's like goes around like kind of like a cold, and it's kind of shitty to have to deal with. Especially just getting sick is shitty. So it's good to talk about those things too, and we'll do a whole episode on that one day, I'm sure.
Yeah, you just have to be very careful and have good communication.
Yeah, be careful and just be comfortable. If there's something that you're not comfortable with, if something, tiny little flag goes up in your head, just listen to it.
So
that's weird. I feel like I should have one more convo with this guy. And then he says no. You're like, well, no, because that's what's going to make me feel comfortable. So how could I trust you to make me feel comfortable in any other aspect of this if you won't even have a conversation with me?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If they can't even do this one thing, that tells you everything, right? We say this all the time, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you just have to ask one question, and the answer the person's going to give you will tell you everything.
Yes, you ask one thing, the answer tells you everything you need to know, and you need to listen to that answer. And she did, and she didn't do it with this guy, and he didn't get to do that with her, so...
He really missed out. Like, I was ready to fucking do it.
Yeah, and then it's like moving on, because you can find someone who actually does treat you properly, who you're comfortable with, 100%. If you could go back in time and fuck somebody that you've already fucked, or a dead person that you haven't fucked before, who would it be? Or do you have somebody in mind?
A dead person I haven't fucked before?
Like Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh. Well, I would go back and fuck my OG bad boy.
Yeah.
I have this one guy, the only guy who, like, I'll go on about him forever. The only guy that was ever
the best.
Able to satiate me sexually. He treated me like gold. He fucked me so good. And he treated me like a queen. But he was a total drug dealer, went to jail.
Yeah.
But he was awesome. He never, it was the best relationship ever.
Yeah, he was so nice. He used to always buy me sushi.
I would fuck him. Yeah. That's who I would fuck.
That's who you would fuck.
Yeah, I wish I could have him right now. He's probably in jail, though. So if you're listening right now, come back to me, please. You know who you are.
At Rosa and Rhea.
Yeah, email me.
Have you ever faked an orgasm?
Yeah, I have. And I used to have a hard rule, okay? Because I'm like a really direct person, right? I had a hard rule where I would never fake orgasms, and I never had one. Like, I would never have orgasms during sex, like almost never ever. Like, it was horrible.
Beforehand, or
because I was just so bad at communicating what it turned me on. I didn't know how to do it. I would have all this vanilla sex for years and no orgasms.
Wow.
Never faked them. I would just say to guys straight up, like, I don't have orgasms. Do your best.
Yeah, like, don't try.
Good luck.
Yeah, almost like taking the pressure off both of you, but
also
it's
horrible because the guy doesn't know what the fuck to do, right? Because I didn't know what I liked, right? It's like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really literally is the blind leading. And so again, you have to masturbate, all that stuff. I talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
But okay, this is going to sound very taboo, but this is a technique, and I don't know if I recommend this, but it is something that worked for me. Okay. So like I said, I had been never faking orgasms. And then I got into a relationship with a guy. So it wasn't like a one night stand or anything where I was fucking him regularly. And I was a little bit, older at this point. And he was really awesome in bed. I loved having sex with him. It turned me on so much. Like, there was nothing wrong with the sex. Like, I felt like I could come. Like, it was turning me on that much. But I just, like, couldn't get there. It was like a block. Like, just all the other things. Like, I had orgasms, but just not all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to have it with him, and I could tell, like, you spoke about this in a previous episode, where you kind of feel like a bit of pressure, right? Like, the guy's like, when's it going to happen? Like, he's looking at his watch.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God.
I guess it's sort of around the time where he's expecting me to come now.
Yeah, and I had been better at this stage of, like, doing a lot of sex with myself, right? I was doing a lot of more masturbation at this point. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fake an orgasm just out of the blue. But I really, I did it in a way that would have been real to me. So it wasn't like some sort of like porn star kind of faked orgasm. It was like exactly like how I knew it would play out if it would have been a real orgasm to me. And then like it was almost like a fake it till you make it scenario. Because what happened was, like, I think I did it a couple times. Then I was able to actually do it eventually.
So part of it was, like, almost like because you hadn't been for so long, you just, like, you're almost out of practice. So you're, like, leading your body there.
Yeah, like, I was just, like, it was almost just, like, just being comfortable, right? Coming with this guy.
Wow,
right?
Dude, I'm so glad I asked you this question.
I know.
I had no idea about
I know. It's something I don't think about a lot because now I come a lot more frequently during sex. But in this case, and then after that, it would happen more and more often. I would have real orgasms. Wow. And then it would happen all the time.
Wow.
And then eventually, I literally probably had an orgasm with him every time we had sex because we just knew how to do it at that point. And it was really exciting. But I never told him that I did that. But it was, and I don't know if it's a technique that I recommend, but for me, it was about getting comfortable, and practicing just that fakery for a bit helped me get that comfort level.
Wow.
It was like an acting or like an improvisation almost.
I can totally see why that would help.
Isn't that weird?
That's so cool. If you're really closed off and you're kind of like nervous and scared, you just making those sounds and getting into it, that could even just turn you on a little bit.
And because
right?
like I am a very very kind of like, how would you say, like very, like I don't let loose a lot of the time, right? Like, so I'm getting better every day, but like at that stage I was definitely a lot more uptight. So I think that's exactly what it was. I just needed to loosen up a little bit and just practice that looseness.
Yeah. Like I'm always telling Rhea, like, let's relax. And then we'll like go somewhere amazing. And she's like, wow, this is so great. I'm like, yeah, welcome to like a regular day of my life. Just hanging by the pool, rosé in the cup, like
I need
relaxing.
To relax more. There is something else I want to mention because I think that our listeners have a misconception about at least my lifestyle for sure.
What, that we're like super porn stars and like just fucking all the time?
Like I just want to say, I mean, I'm going through a severe dry spell and have been for some time, and it's not pretty, you guys. Like I'm barely having any sex at all.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm trying, you know, but it's not easy out there.
Yeah.
It's not a free-for-all.
A lot of my single friends, I mean, I went for 5 months earlier this year.
It's
then
crazy.
another 3 months
How does it happen?
after having sex one time. I mean, yeah, well, if guys are like, whatever, you could literally have sex every single day. And it's like, yeah, but you have to with somebody you want, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Once you get into this stage where you start getting real specific about your desires and you really like hone it down and you know what you want, it starts limiting you. And that vanilla, boring sex, casual sex does nothing for me.
Yeah, like we were having this conversation yesterday, and I was like, Rhea, why don't we just go out in Yale Town and I'll introduce you to some people. You could have sex tonight. And she's like, that is not what I want.
No.
That's the last thing that she wants.
It's the last thing I want.
Yeah.
That's not what I
want. A one-night stand where it's like you're both drunk. You don't really know what happened. You walk home in shame.
Yeah. No, I'm not down for that.
Because that's not, that doesn't even really count.
No, it doesn't even feel good. Like, I'm definitely not going to come like that. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? And if anything, if I ever get in that situation, I should just say to the guy, no sex. We're just going to cuddle because that's what I really need. I just need someone to squeeze me as hard as they can for like 10 minutes and then I'll feel fine. Yeah. I don't even need to have sex. If you want to hear any of our last episodes, firsts, porn, or threesomes, go to our new website, rosaandrhea.com. All the links are on there. We're on YouTube. Our YouTube channel name is Rosa and Rhea, and we're also on Instagram, and all our links are on our Instagram as well. So go check us out.
Yeah, and we would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, listen away on there, and we actually have some exciting content coming for you in the form of video, so stay tuned for that as well.